Hello and welcome to Catfish Trash Talk. This is episode 103. I'm your host, comedian Tracey Carnazzo, joined by my lovely co-host, comedian Noelle Winters Herzog.
Hi, Trixie.
Hi, we're here to talk about season 8, Catfish the television show, Eli and Boulevard.
Could your lips be more chapped? Sorry, I'm just asking. Are your lips chapped this
My
time of year?
lips. Okay. I don't know if you saw when we started this thing. I just started putting my Laneige on, my overnight mask.
Uh-huh.
Like it's so bad. I also have the humidifier on, like constantly.
Yeah, like Matt, this morning I was doing dishes and he comes over
Mm.
to me and he's like, "My poor girl, your lips are so chapped." I'm like,
Yeah.
"They are no matter what
You
I
know why
do."
though?
Yeah.
I'm looking right now at my temperature. So it's 66 degrees, but it's also 22% humidity in my
That's
house.
what it is.
That's
Right.
too, you got to keep your humidifier on,
I need
baby.
to because like my lips, like if I smile, like I'm gonna
Yeah, you're going to
bleed.
bleed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got it. Listen, we've all had a rough day.
Today was a day.
Today was a really rough day for me specifically.
Yes.
Very specifically, it was a rough day for me.
Specifically.
Um, so I was gonna watch Catfish last night, and I was like, you know what, Noelle, I'm just too tired.
Yeah,
I'll
you
watch it in
wore
the morning.
yourself out. Uh-huh.
Just too tired. I folded too many clothes. I'm so sorry. So this morning I woke up and I was matcha bageling, which I do
Hmm.
every morning, and I started Catfish, and I was like, wow, season 8, episode 48. I'm like, okay, relax, Catfish.
Sure.
So I start watching, I'm taking notes, and I'm like, we're back on Zoom. And I'm like, all right. And it was just like an underwhelming episode. I took
Yeah.
all the notes and I was like, so a little while ago, we decided that we were going to record and we came together and I
Hmm.
had some questions for you before we started recording.
You were like, Noelle, Zoom again?
Mhm.
And I'm like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you mean? What do I mean?
Right.
We just like looked at each other. I'm like, well, I don't really specifically remember any Zooming this
Right.
episode.
Sure.
I'm like, so what were the people's names? You're like, I don't want to tell you.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no, no, tell me. You're like, mm-mm. And I'm like, okay, I'll tell you. Is it Eli and Boulevard? You're like, that's not who it is.
Right.
No.
So the funniest part about this is that I took notes on an episode that it was not the episode that I was supposed to be watching. It
Yes.
just came up on my philo, whatever you call it, right?
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, here we go. This is the episode. Play.
Wrong. Wrong.
So I take the notes, I do the whole episode. I'm confused, yada, yada, yada. Come to find out, not only have I seen this episode before with no recollection whatsoever, we also recorded a podcast on the episode that I took. I took notes. If anyone wants an extra episode that probably is identical, I took notes on season 8, episode 48, Kaylin and Jordan.
You're like Caitlin and Jordan. I'm like from Teen Mom.
I took total notes. Kaylin met Jordan 12 years ago on a teen chat room. They talked on the phone for hours. He's 22, she's 23. I mean, I went through the whole thing. Now,
Once you said that they started talking at like 10 and 11, I'm like, I swear we covered them.
okay. I don't remember, like, not even sort of a little bit. And you know that that's true because I took notes on the whole episode.
You looked at me blankly. I'm like, we covered this. You're like, we didn't. You were convinced we didn't.
Okay, so I found it. It's episode 16 of our podcast.
Okay.
I'm never gonna listen to it because I'm so upset.
Yeah.
But I would like to say this. I don't know what I said in episode 16. I hate this guy.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He was such a jerk. He talked like, okay, I had dated this guy years ago
Mhm.
who was like a salesy sales guy.
Oh, I know that guy.
And he was such a liar.
Uh-huh. They're all liars.
And he wouldn't answer a question directly.
Mm-hmm.
So this is stuff that this guy said. He said, let's see. He said, okay. And he used a lot of words that he didn't have to use in sentences. He just added extra words.
Okay, sure.
So he was like, yeah, I couldn't really be with her because I have a job and it takes a long time. My job, it's 6 days a week. And also I have another job. And Neve's like, what's your other job? And he says, quote, my other job would be me going ahead to doing my investments.
What the hell does that mean?
It's just a lot of words.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of words. And then they asked who, because when they called him, a girl picked up, and they said, who picked up the phone when we called you? And he said, quote, that's tough to say.
That's tough to say.
That might be tough to say, but I'll tell you what's not tough. A great decision. Ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto meals. Based on a randomized, controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto, results will vary depending on diet and exercise. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that you can't be beat. I love Factor. I've been using it for quite a while. Noelle's using Factor. My brother's using Factor. We even got him on board. It's actually delicious. Real food. It's amazing. It's so much easier than cooking. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast and use code factorpodcast to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code factorpodcast at factormeals.com/Factor Podcast to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box.
So then they like tear him apart, right? They catch him in all these lies, and then they're ending the call, and he's like, "Thank you guys so much for meeting up with me today." And I'm like,
see, I vaguely remember this.
"Ooh, I hated this guy all over again, all over again."
She hates him.
I hate him. So I had to start this episode already being mad at Jordan from episode 48. But here we are. Eli and Boulevard.
And it's funny because we had talked ahead of time and I was like, oh, this episode is better than last week's.
And I'm like, this is terrible. Okay.
Did you think Eli and Boulevard was better than last week's episode?
Correct, I do.
Okay,
I agree
me too.
with you.
Okay.
Well, let's jump in the pool. But right before we jump in the pool, just to let you guys know, I know that you're like, where's your other catfish episodes? You know where they are. They're at patreon.com/trash talk podcast. So every single week that you don't see a catfish episode out here, it's over there on Patreon, patreon.com/trash talk podcast. And it's right down there in the show notes. You can click it. Just do a little click.
Also, I want to remind the people that we're covering old episodes of Teen Mom every other week.
Every other week.
Because I get a lot of messages like, why is there no episode today?
It's every other week, guys.
It's every other week. And
we're on the off season.
Old episodes. So it's fun.
Teen Mom is on a hiatus. So Teen Mom Trash Talk is covering episodes every other week.
Yeah. And when the new season comes out, which I hear Family Reunion is coming out soon, or maybe Couples Therapy. I don't know.
Okay. Well, guess what?
Uh-huh.
We also have a brand new podcast called Macaroni Rascals, a Jersey Shore podcast. So you could catch that on patreon.com/trash talk podcast. And also catch up on our other podcast, So Pumped, a Vanderpump Rules podcast.
Also, we just finished 90 Day Fiance the other way, the full season.
Go over there, patreon.com/trash talk podcast. It's right down there in the show notes. Now let's jump in the pool.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ugh, it's Neve and Laura.
You don't like her?
No.
I like her.
It's not that I don't like her. It's just that I don't like when someone tells me to like someone and MTV is telling me to like her and I don't want to.
I understand that. I just don't understand. Like she gets like online, the amount of hate this woman gets. I'm like, for what? She's
she's not Max.
She's kind of just there. All time, the best is Max. I mean, no offense to Cammie, but nobody could ever be Max.
Of course.
Yeah.
Max is the OG. All right. So we meet Eli. He's 26. He's a gamer. He's from Alaska.
That's interesting.
And he met Boulevard on PlayStation 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up moving to Chicago to be closer to her, but she ghosted him when he landed. She said that she mixed up travel plans and she was visiting her grandmother out of town, but would meet up with him as soon as she got back, but she never showed up. So he ended up moving back to Alaska.
Her real name is Savannah.
Right. So they call him.
But you know what? He's like, I will not call her that. I will only call her Boulevard.
Let me tell you something. This is the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. So,
that's what I was thinking.
It is. So they go to Alaska to see if he's like to meet Eli and to see if she lie.
I like it.
Wow. So they go to his house and he's in the garage. And he said that he rents the garage, but then also rents the apartment over it. But like the way he said it was very strange.
He made it seem like he rents the garage from his friend's mom, but they're allowed to go upstairs because nobody's home.
Right. But maybe that is true because his stuff is in the garage. His couch is in the garage.
Yeah. I think he like lives in the garage.
Okay. I also think he lives in the garage.
Also, he's very reminiscent of old school young and pregnant Sean.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So here's the deal. I will say this. Catfish does have a garage fetish.
Why do you say this?
Because if you go back to look at old episodes, every time there's a house or a garage, if there is an option to be in the garage, they are in the garage because
there's a lot of confrontation in the garage. Yes.
It's easier to film in the garage. That's why.
That makes sense.
Right. So he's just living his life in the garage.
He feels very isolated in Alaska.
He does. But that's why he plays Call of Duty. And his real life friend, Dakota, brought Boulevard into their group.
Right.
She sent him pictures of her and they started texting. And 2 to 3 weeks later, he plans to move to Chicago.
Listen,
I feel like this is on him.
Of course this is on him. You know that nobody was like, hey, come live with me.
Right.
They were probably like, hey, you should come visit.
Well, he said that he moved to Chicago to be closer to her, not to live with her.
But then at another point, he says that as soon as they met, she was like, hey, I got a place. Do you want to come live with me?
Right. But I don't think that's true.
Listen, he's all gums. This guy is all gums, Tracey.
He is all gums. He's very, very gummy.
He's very gummy.
He is very gummy. But, you know, there's a lot of holes in this story.
Yes.
There's a lot of holes on both sides. So in 2 to 3 weeks of talking to someone who you've never actually video chatted with, you move your whole life.
But he's like the first conversation. She was just like, hey, I got a place. It's like,
right. You don't, but he,
and then you're like, sure, say no more, fam. I'm going to come.
Right. And then
you're in Alaska. It's not like you're like one state over from Illinois, which would be another state that I don't know.
I don't know. This must be, there's no way to know. Probably Montana.
Yeah, I was going to say Indiana, but that's not right. It's not
right.
But that's not right.
That's not right. It must be very hard for him to cook. But, you know, in this bustling holiday season, you might be looking for nutritious, flavorful meals to fuel you on jam-packed days. Factor's America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service can help you eat well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle while tackling all your holiday to-dos.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Cross meal prepping off your list this holiday season with Factor. Skip the meal planning, grocery shopping, chopping, prepping, and cleaning up, and get Factor's fresh, never frozen meals delivered right to your door. They're ready in just 2 minutes. So all you have to do is heat and enjoy.
That sounds perfect for me because you know what, Tracey? Who wants to cook, really?
No one. And I got to tell you, Factor isn't just for dinner. Count on extra convenience any time of day with an assortment of more than 55 add-ons to suit various preferences and tastes. Choose from quick breakfast items, lunch to go, grab and go snacks, and ready to drink cold pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. With Factor, you can rest assured you're making the sustainable choice. They offset 100% of their delivery emissions and source 100% renewable electricity for their product sites and offices. This December, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered right to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. They are delicious.
Awesome.
Head to factormeals.com/catfish50 and you use code catfish50 to get 50% off. That's code catfish50 at factormeals.com/catfish50 and get 50% off. And it will be right down there in the show notes.
Do it.
All right. So he 3 weeks later, he plans to move and he gets there and she ghosts him.
Right. And he is in this random ass hotel because he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to go to this cheap ass hotel.
She said that she broke her phone, but she's at her grandma's for Easter. So she's like, I feel so bad that there was miscommunication. And she calls his hotel and pays for it.
That blew my mind.
Of course. So he's like, I don't know. I mean, should I just call catfish? And she's like, oh my God, yes.
I want to be famous and I want to be on TV. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Right. So he goes back to Alaska eventually because whatever. So they
just
find
never
out
meet. Right.
her phone bill's in her mom's name, Phyllis.
Right.
And so is her social media. It's all in her mother's name.
Right. Which is weird as hell. Okay.
So he's just playing his PlayStation in the garage, and
They're gonna go through the chats. Yeah.
They're going through the chat. They find a little eggplant emoji, a banana emoji.
And she door dashed him food too.
Yeah. She's planning with him the catfish situation. She's writing the script of
she goes, hey, my cousin's ugly as fuck and fat and pregnant. What?
Okay, but then she sends a picture of her cousin Kelly.
Yeah.
Her ugly AF fat pregnant cousin. What?
I know.
What? All right,
but then you see this and you're like, okay, so is this your way of telling me that you're Kelly?
Yeah, I don't know. So they text Dakota, his friend.
Right.
And in the meantime, they're searching photos, and her face is like filtered off in these photos anyway.
You don't know what the hell she looks like. Yeah.
I have no clue. So Dakota's like, yeah, I'll be there in 5 minutes.
I'm just at a job up the block.
Yeah. So also Kelly, the cousin, is 19
with
and a single
kids.
mom of 2.
Yeah. But then you think about it and you're like, so the single mom of 2 is paying for his hotel?
Right. So they're at this like cafe or whatever, and he won't come inside. They have to go outside to meet him.
Right. So what the hell was that about?
I don't know, but he's like super eager, very strange. Like
honestly, he seems like a crackhead.
He seems like a crackhead.
Crackhead energy.
Thank you. I was just going to say that. So he said that he met her in 2018 playing Call of Duty, and he thinks it's an old lady. She sent him $1,000 once on Cash App. She sent him about $3,600 altogether. And they're like, why would she do that? And he's like, we've been friends for years.
But he's married.
Right. And the money comes from Phyllis. And they're like, does your wife know about her? He's like, call her right now. And they're like,
yeah, it's like, I don't need to do that. See, but that's what's weird about it. Like, I don't know. That's why I also think he has like crackhead energy. You're getting this money from this random, you think it's an old lady.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're married.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt's like, hey, Noelle, I've been talking to this old lady online. She just sent me $1,000.
Right.
Aren't you like, Matt, what's wrong with you?
Right. I would be like,
stop asking her for money.
Stop asking her for money. It's weird.
Yeah. And he's like, well, I was short on rent.
Right.
And you're like, are you a drug addict?
Right. I would think, like, what kind of pills are you taking? You're
taking
weird.
Pills.
Yeah.
Because you have a job.
You have a full job. I have a job and we can't afford rent. And you're asking an internet stranger? You don't want to do overtime?
No, she doesn't care. She's like, good for you.
Yeah, weird.
Right. So, yeah, he doesn't care. So they go to Eli's. He got a haircut. They're so impressed.
Thank goodness.
They text Savannah.
Right.
And she's like, oh my God, catfish?
No way.
They're like, okay, we're going to go there. She's like, okay, cool. I was supposed to go out of town, which is her favorite.
Sure. She loves travel.
All right. So they're flying to Chicago on the airplane. And they get a text from a different number. And she's like, hey, this is Boulevard. I hope no one's upset at me. Here's an address that you can meet me at.
Right. And it's like, wait, hold on. She's like, I hope nobody's upset with me or will be upset with me.
Right.
So you're like, this has to be Kelly.
Of course. So they get to the house. The garage is open.
The garage is open.
Because they have to set up production in the garage. That's why.
It makes so much sense.
Of course. So Kelly comes out.
Right.
19.
A rough 19.
In dog years?
Yeah. A rough 19.
19. 1-9?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe 9-1.
9D? Is that what they meant? 9D?
It's weird. It's like, this girl's 19. She is haggard.
And they're like, are you okay? And she's like, and Neve goes, quote, we come in peace.
Right. But she's like, oh, I'm just anxious.
So she's like, okay, I have a 7-week-old baby inside, so I have to go inside. Okay. I was sick in the hospital when you got here.
Though I will say, is like very nice to her. He's like, "Hey, Kelly, nice to meet you." Like
Because he's trying to get her to talk too.
Yeah, right. And she's really not talking either. And she's outside for 3 minutes, and then she has to go back in.
Okay, can they come in?
I don't think so. Right. Where are you? Whose house are you at?
What is the
Are you gonna plan to meet up again? Bring the baby outside.
Bring the baby outside.
Yeah, bring the baby by the door.
By the door.
Yeah, just by the door.
Bring the baby in the garage.
Just carry the monitor in your hand.
Bring the baby in the garage.
Bring the baby in the garage.
Meet them when the baby takes a nap.
Put the baby in the car.
Throw the baby in the garbage.
Wave at it.
Bring the baby to a firehouse.
Lock the doors. Never come back.
Keep driving. Get on a plane. Fly to Alaska. Kelly. Go. Run.
Yeah. Run, Kelly. Run.
We got this.
Your life could be different, Kelly. Just leave.
She's like, I'm not old enough. Okay. So she said that she was sick in the hospital when he was in Chicago. And she also has to go. She has to go maybe tomorrow, maybe not.
Right. And then that's it. And then he's like, hey guys,
I have a secret to tell you. That's not her.
That's not her. Because I know her voice. Because they used to talk all the time.
Right. And he's like, also, she was playing PlayStation with me when she said that she was going to be, when she was in the hospital.
Right. So did she bring it with her in the hospital? No.
I mean, I bet you she would have.
Probably.
Okay. So they text her and they're like, hey, can we meet up with you? And she goes, I can't keep doing this.
And I was like, you can't keep doing what exactly?
She's like, they only paid me $50.
Right. They didn't even pay me for this.
Yeah. So they said that they're going to meet again. They get there and she's on the lawn like a jockey.
Of a different house.
House.
She may as well be holding a lantern on the lawn.
She's the mailbox.
Yes.
She's the Grinch inflatable thing for Christmas.
And she's just getting inflated the whole time.
Oh my God. So but also there's a garage.
There is a garage here. Yes.
So she's on the lawn. She said it's not her, it's her Aunt Phyllis, and that they paid her to come out and say it was her. I believe it.
But they're throwing her out.
She said that she needed the money. They're kicking her out. She lived with them for 6 months. And then they're like, is Savannah home? She's like, yes.
Right.
So they're like, okay, can we talk to her? So she gets Savannah. Savannah opens the door and she goes to Eli.
What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
Why is she so mean though?
These are backwoods females.
But that's what I'm saying. There's something wrong here. But also for the backwood females, Savannah is probably the hottest thing to ever walk the earth. So everybody has to use her pictures and exploit her so they don't have to work.
This is a very good point.
Right. Uh-huh.
So they're like, do you know who this is? She's like, yeah, of course I do. I play PlayStation with him.
Right.
But I only liked him as a friend. And then they're like, yeah, but you told him to move here. And she's like, we only joked about him moving. I didn't know that he bought a ticket.
Okay, but you knew that he landed and such.
She said no.
And he's like, I told you when I was boarding.
Right. So she said that her mom did not pay for a hotel. She didn't pay for a hotel. And no one knew he was coming.
And mom isn't there right now.
She's not there. She's like, I can call her. Neve, can you come in? Kelly, you're not allowed in the house, and neither are these strangers. Me and Neve go way back.
Right. It's like, so Neve is allowed inside. Neve's wife isn't allowed inside either.
I love that.
Uh-huh. She's like, just you, Neve.
She's like, we're going to kiss in the kitchen. And
like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, are you trying to fuck? Like, what's happening here?
So Kelly said that they have similar voices, but also it's like Kelly's really trying to set them up too.
Right. I know. Kelly's like, take them down.
Mm-hmm. Kelly's like, they have similar voices. Do it. So they call her mother. I don't think her mother has a similar voice to her.
No, neither do I.
And she goes, Mom, Neve has some questions. And she goes, who?
Right. And then she's like, it just hands him the phone. He's like, oh, okay.
She's like, well, I'm not even in the area. They love being out of town
too, though.
Yeah. She goes, she said that she kicked Kelly out. Kelly's a con artist. Kelly had an account using Savannah's pictures and they were going to press charges.
Right.
And then Neve goes, well, I think it was you that paid for the hotel because, quote, I don't think your daughter or Kelly have any money.
Okay. I LOL'd. Like, why? What makes you say that, Neve? Because she wants to be alone with you? What did she say to you? Did she want you to go yachting with her? What did she say?
Oh my God. What do you think?
It's
And then
like,
that's it. That's it. There's no resolution.
right. So that's the thing. So Neva's like, okay, I guess we're leaving without any resolution. And then Kelly's basically like, it wasn't me, it's them. Savannah's like, it's not me, it's Kelly. And it's like,
It's not
okay,
Kelly.
I don't think it's Kelly actually at all. I think that Kelly is like a con artist, but not in this. I actually don't think Kelly has anything to do with this. I think they probably were like, here, take this money and take the blame because they just felt like she was like desperate almost for money, especially because they were kicking her out. Or maybe they were kicking her out because she was telling the truth. I don't know. But it's got to be Phyllis, right?
It's Phyllis.
Why does nobody say like, where did the money come from? It's so weird. Why didn't he ask the front desk? Like, okay, whose credit card is it?
Why didn't they go back?
Right.
Why didn't they go to the hotel?
It's like, okay, but also that other guy, the Dakota, got cash apped by Phyllis.
Yeah.
So I would say it's Phyllis.
Right. She's like, well, my boyfriend wouldn't like that. It's like, yeah, he probably doesn't like that.
I know.
Also, you don't have a boyfriend. You're out of town. Like, come on, you're not out of town.
You don't have
Where
a
do you
boyfriend.
live?
This is too weird.
Didn't Kelly say they were both in the house or no?
Yes. She said they're inside. I bet she was like in the basement, like, oh, my boyfriend wouldn't like that very much. Like,
Stop.
where is she?
Stop, boyfriend.
Right.
I'm
No,
on the
she
phone
was
with a stranger.
Stop, boyfriend. The only stranger that's allowed inside the house.
George Glass, leave me alone.
This was weird.
Very weird.
I feel like in a way it was like, come on, Eli, like, are you this dumb? But it's like, yeah, but he also didn't seem like all that dumb.
Yeah, but he
like
didn't
a pretty
seem
good sport about it.
Sure, but I mean, what's wrong with? Okay, well, I guess he's like, I live in a garage.
Right. Literally in Alaska.
I live in an Alaskan garage with no insulation.
But that's what I mean. How cold he must be in there.
It's probably like leaving the air conditioner in the window all the time.
Like my guest room right now. Yeah. It's very cold in there.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like living in a garage.
Yeah, it's like maybe he was just looking for a better life.
I get it.
I liked the episode. I just thought it was really weird, and I thought everybody was so mean.
Everyone was pretty mean.
Yeah, Savannah, meanest girl ever. She was like, I'm so hot. I'm the hottest person in this town.
She's backwoods.
Right. This is the backwoods of Chicago.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Chicago is probably watching this going, you know, this isn't Chicago, right?
Right. We don't
this
claim
isn't me,
her.
right?
Right. Right. They're in some like little like hillbilly area.
Right. Like I understand you're near me, but please don't portray me as that.
No, they're not Chicagoans.
No. Chicago away.
I liked it.
Noelle, I'm glad you liked it.
It was better than last week's. Last week's was,
but I still feel like unresolved.
Yeah, I think it was like really weird. Like, can we just find out something? And then the update, there was no update.
There's no update.
Yeah, it was like, oh, they were trying to find Kelly and Savannah and Phyllis, and none of them ever got back to them.
Okay, great story, guys.
Yeah, cool story, bro.
All right, well, you know where to find us.
You know where to find us. You know where we are.
Catfish Trash Talk on Instagram. You can follow Noelle at Noe Girl on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can follow me at Trixie Tuzini on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. TraceyCarnazzo.com for everything podcast related, including our Patreon, where you could find our Vanderpump Rules podcast, Jersey Shore podcast, The Other Way of 90 Day Fiance, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Go over there, TraceyCarnazzo.com, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.